Welcome to this new series, explaining what the soul actually is, and the changes taking place in every soul. I refer to these changes as the metamorphosis of the soul. The soul is an ancient word or title for a terminal in a massive network involving the processing system of life. While recently I was in China for 10 weeks, I had a lot of time to myself. I also spoke to many Chinese, with my wife as a translator. I was amazed at the number of Chinese who were aware of what I was referring to. I was caught off balance, as I was not expecting this. I now know, what I have been seeing over the last 53 years, is far more common than I had previously thought. So, let's start from the beginning, when all this started for myself. I now know, many have experienced these things, long before myself, perhaps to millions of others, in previous chapters of this program book, we are experiencing at present. In 1973, I was pronounced dead on arrival at a medical center. I won't go into the details, but I was pronounced as being so-called dead for these 30 minutes or so. But for my real self, I was very much alive, but the experience during this half hour never involved my human body nor its human entity or spirit. On collapsing, I went through the same as others who have had a so-called death experience. Yes, I did go through what appeared to be a tunnel to the light. At first the white light filled my whole field of vision, even though the human body was not present. The light had the following: there was a presence of love, so deep it had no boundaries, and there was no condemnation, and all that existed was within the light. The light first appeared like a wall of light, or in 2 dimensions for a time, then it was like a droplet of water being dropped into a vast ocean. I was in the light, where I became one and the same with the white light. In this state there was a presence of love that was so deep, it had no boundaries. And I was aware of the all, not through thought, as thought did not exist, but the knowledge of the all was static, a bit like the data contained on a compact disk or other memory device of a computer, or of a network cloud. Time did not exist, and the sensation presented, that I was in the light for billions of years. Today I know without doubt that the real self, that experienced the wall of light was my real self, that is awareness. The light was in the form of a 2-dimensional geometric plane. Note, even a conceptual geometric plane has a minimum of 2 outer faces with something in between the 2 faces. Today I know that all that exists in the form of geometric concepts. And what we experience comes from programs which are contained within program books, in massive libraries. These exist in 2 types, picture books and story books, acting as control books. The story books or control books consist of environmental books and avatar books. The processing system is a conceptual processing system, the next stage up from virtual processors. What makes our experience to appear as reality is simply based on programs involving kinetics. There are programs that account for the illusion of a material world. So, it is like using a 3-dimensional headset, experiencing virtual reality, but billions of years ahead of human computers. Here is more about what this virtual reality is being displayed on, or in. It involves a wall in front of you in the form of a geometric plane. One of its faces is black, and the other is white, and between these 2 faces is gray or darkness. Contrary to scientific belief, black is not darkness. Darkness is where there is a lack of contrast between colors, in this case gray, a mixture of black and white. As all is based on concepts, we can conceptually pull the 2 faces of a geometric plane apart, introducing a 3-dimensional structure. If we separate the two components of the color gray, we get black and white. This is why the two faces of the geometric plane I am referring to has been allocated both an outer black face and an outer white face. Now let's see what happened in the awakening, involving the nothing and the self-awareness of awareness, the existence of itself. The nothing is a paradox, it is both nothing and something. The awakening of the self-awareness of awareness is conceptually the origin, and anything else is not the origin. Notice the two components, the origin and outside, not the origin. The origin then turned its attention to see if anything else existed besides itself, and when it did, only darkness existed, which is the color gray. It then tried to see what the color gray consisted of, and soon found gray was made up of two components, black and white, which at first lacked contrast between the black and the white. As it looked outwardly or away from the origin, light appeared, and later would use this phenomenon to draw with. When self-awareness of awareness remained in the origin, and through awareness searched outwardly, and the first geometric concept was discovered, we refer to the Z-axis, and the first concept of movement. The color white remained in the center, being the origin. It became aware of the color black, which remained outside the white. This action produced the separation of the two components of the color gray. Not only did it note the separation of the components, black and white, it discovered two other dimensions, involving the X and Y axis, hence 3 dimensions. So, this had to be recorded. This is when self-awareness of awareness started to express itself by drawing with black and white on the near face of a geometric plane. Because white appeared in the center, and the black on the outside, it discovered that this was also the case in the Z-axis, revealing the construct of a geometric plane, having both an inner and an outer face. The near face was white, being the origin, and the rear face in the Z-axis the outer face. Fix your eyes firmly on the letter X on your screen, and without shifting your eyes off the X, notice the bright white light following the black line work. The light you see is much brighter than the white background. This white light is life, the real self, taking notice of what it is being displayed on screen. Now life, the real self, is being accessed using a video interface or your screen. Only life, the real self, can see this. In my next video of this series I shall reveal the virtual layers of the soul, a terminal in a massive network of terminals, and the maps involved in the video interface used in accessing the processing system of life.